Hello, YouTubers. It's Championdjk coming at you with part 2 of 4 of Kyosho versus U.S. brands. So, if you haven't watched the first episode of this, it was about a Corvette. You should go ahead and watch that. I kind of explain more of what I'm doing here. But we're going to jump right into it for this one. Camaro, Kyosho versus U.S. brands. This is the first gen Camaro. So the first generation Camaros are from 67 to 69. This happens to be definitely modeled after a 1969 Camaro. This is the Kyosho. We got correct wheels. The bumper on it's a bit crooked. Did not notice that right away, and actually it looks like it's kind of coming off. This is a bit of normally an M2 issue, but there's the bumper completely off of the car. And we can go ahead and put it back on. And I say it's an M2 issue because when I get to the M2 version of this casting, I actually had to re-glue the bumper of that car on to the casting. So that's kind of hilarious that it actually also happened with this Kyosho. The Kyosho also has a side view mirror, which is correct for it. There's your headlights in there. Very nice little printing in there. You got your chrome trim around the windows. There's your base, actually pretty detailed for a Kyosho. Normally they're not very detailed. It is a plastic base, metal body. It also has inserts for tail lamps. Looks pretty good. And there you have it. There's Kyosho. It does roll very well as well, which is not always the case with Kyoshos. But I think this looks pretty good. And the most proper car I found out of my collection to compare it to was an M2 69 Camaro. Now this does look very, very nice from M2. You guys know I'm not normally a huge M2 fan, but this 69 Camaro SS looks pretty darn good. You got a little bit of wackiness going on in the back here. Like I said, I did have to glue this bumper back onto the car almost immediately after taking it out of the package. This does feature an opening hood with a detailed motor. The wheels look correct to me. Look very close to those actually. Same wheel type. The doors also open on this, and you got a two-tone interior, which is nice. And the doors for this one, actually, that one opens really well. This one really doesn't, the driver's side. Like to keep those shut anyway. Not a huge fan of opening doors on 1/64 scale diecast. And this base is actually screwed on, and you got two holes to mount it to the little pedestal it came on. And then this is metal, so the base is metal, the wheels are rubber, so these wheels are also rubber. They both look very similar in size in every dimension. So as far as 1/64 scale goes, I think they're probably both very, very close to the real deal 1/64 scale. I'd say this one, I guess actually when you look at them, it's hard to show it in an angle that's appropriate for this camera. Let's see, maybe I can do it this way. But this is a little bit longer than the Kyosho is. And I'm going to assume that Kyosho is probably closer to 1/64 scale than M2, just because M2 typically does run a little bit large. But still, this M2 looks great. Now, M2 does also do a version of this casting with a plastic base without any opening features. And this is just a version of it with a bit more graphics. The hood doesn't open on this. The doors don't open. It's got a plastic base. It's got these kind of aftermarket wheels going on to it. Very aftermarket look going on with this one. Essentially, it's the same like body tooling though, aside from those opening doors, bumper pieces and all that stuff. But looks pretty good. Oh, bumper fell off again. We will pop that back on. We do not do any editing here. I'm not going to try to hide that came off. The nice thing is it is very easily fixable with just a small dab of glue, and I probably will do that before I put this one away. But yeah, so there's that. And so really the comparison is going to be between these two, but we're going to show you other Camaros. Here's another. This is Racing Champions. This is a 69 Camaro. This is definitely sitting lower than it should stance-wise, and definitely looks longer than it should. This one also features an opening hood, some detail in the motor. Got separate pieces for the bumper. Does the bumper come off? No, sounded pretty good. And then good front bumper there, and looks pretty good. There's your Racing Champions version. Greenlight did one in their Motor World lineup, and they did the convertible, which I guess this is the convertible too, with just the top up, right? And then this is the convertible version. This one is listed as a 69 Corvette. I don't... Yeah, it is accurate. Okay, so this is the 69 Corvette in a convertible. You got kind of two-tone seats there. This came out of a diorama. The wheels are pretty close to looking like the correct wheels for the other 69s here. And actually, these are, I guess, too, just not as detailed. But yeah, so here's your Greenlight version of the car. This is the only thing they do. They don't do anything in the premium lineup, just the Motor World lineup. So this has a plastic base and a metal body. So there is not one of these in their like premium lineup. And then Johnny Lightning also does a 69 Camaro. And this one does have an opening hood, I believe. If I can get it open. It's always a challenge to get these things open. Come on, you jerk. Anyways, trust me, it opens. It's bouncing open. I just can't get it to stay open. So anyway, there is a little bit of detail under there. It's just a black molded motor. There's nothing too special. This one has plastic tires, plastic base. This is a really basic one. This was actually released as an Erdl, not a Johnny Lightning. And Johnny Lightning's done several of these Camaros. They've done the 67, 68, the 69 convertible, and another 69 convertible, like two different 69 convertible castings. They did another, I think it was a 69 in a different tooling than this. So they've done a few different ones. This is probably the most latest tooling. I think you'll actually find newer versions of this in new Johnny Lightning that's out now. So there's that 69 Camaro. Here's a 67 Camaro from Johnny Lightning, just to take a look at it. This one's also a plastic base one. Plastic base, metal body. Hood opens a lot easier on this one. Again, that's kind of what you'd get with the other one. Really not much detail, just molded in there. So there's that. And then after that, after these premium brands that we just looked at, we basically get to Hot Wheels. So Hot Wheels, you get the original red line. This one's obviously someone painted. So someone did drill this apart and it was glued back together. And this is basically a 67 Camaro, I believe. It is the original red line casting. And casting wise, it looks pretty good. Obviously, this is not the correct color. You should see Spectra Flame, not an enamel paint job. Did have an opening hood. It's got suspension, the old red lines. This car has been taken apart and painted this blue color. They also do a 67 Camaro that was in the main line, and you can still find in the main line. Of course, now usually it's without this opening hood feature. So here's their 67 Camaro. That's a more recent casting, but this casting does date back quite a bit. So there's that one. Very close to the original red line. The tooling is pretty close to it, but not quite the same. And then you got this one here, which is a 69 Camaro. So here's this guy from Hot Wheels. So you got that 69 Camaro, and then you've got this one, which is a 69 Camaro convertible from Hot Wheels. Looks all right. This one you compare it to kind of would be this guy here. And then you also have, this is the 68 Copo Camaro from Hot Wheels. And I think that's all of this era first-gen Camaro castings that they have. I could be wrong. There might be another one out there. Who knows? This is the 68, though. So they've pretty much done it all, right, for Hot Wheels. But really what we're looking at, of course, is what to compare this one to. So this is your Kyosho import diecast versus what you can get right here in the U.S. without having to do, well, you could have found this in the store when it was out, which is this one right here. And I would say this is probably the most worthy comparison is going to be this one to this one. And what do you think? What do you guys like better? You like the M2 better, or do you like the Kyosho better? So don't pay attention to color. You can imagine these being swapped in color. This is striking in white, I know, with the orange stripes. But then you got the Kyosho. All right, so I am going to side with, even though the bumper fell off, I'm going to side with the Kyosho. Only because it doesn't have the opening doors, it doesn't have the opening hood, so you don't have to worry about any of that. I just got to reattach that bumper, which I've already had to do with this one. And I just think the Kyosho looks a little bit more accurate, scale-wise. So you guys can yell at me if you think I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. And the other thing is the glass. The glass on the Kyoshos are always like super clear. It's probably not going to catch on camera, but you can really see inside of that car. This one you can see inside of the car too, but mostly because there is no window up over here. It just has windshield and back windshield, and that's it. So that's going to be it for this this version of Kyosho versus US brands, and this was the first generation Camaro. Next up, I think we'll do the Dodge Viper, so check out part 3.